Recording. Lucky there, Kia. We are now live and we are actually recording. I remember to hit the button. Actually, Caleb probably did it before I got here because, well, everybody who hangs around me knows my phrase is everybody needs a Caleb. And Caleb is my eldest son, who's my chief operating officer and my all-around techie guru guy who sets all of this stuff up. So welcome, everybody, as you're coming in. I'm Michael DeLon. This is Kia Arian. And we are super excited to be here. She's got a phenomenal presentation. And do me a favor, go as you jump in here, go to chat, open up your chat, set it to everyone so that you're chatting to everyone. And do me a favor, tell me what city you're in and what is the temperature or weather like. Okay, so I'm Little Rock, Arkansas, and I think I just looked, and I think it is, I'm going to look again, 78, I think, which is crazy. 78 degrees in Little Rock, Arkansas, 78 and sunny. It feels like San Diego, and that's unbelievable for April 14th, but that's okay. So David from Clearwater, Florida, 80 degrees. I love it. Newfoundland, Canada, and there's still some snow on the ground. Woohoo! That's crazy. And he doesn't know what the temperature is because there's that Celsius thingamajigger. Minneapolis, 79 in Minneapolis. Are you kidding me? My mother-in-law lives in Plymouth, and she got snow a couple days ago. That's crazy. Yeah, snow this weekend, though. That's Minnesota for you. Golly jeepers. And Tia, where are you?
I'm in Falls Church.
Okay, Falls Church. There you go.
Church, Virginia. It's a balmy 81 degrees, which I happily received because it has been 40-degree spring for the past few weeks.
Oh, wow.
So I'm sorry for all those who have snow.
Yeah. Woburn, MA, that's Massachusetts, I think. And 80 degrees in Massachusetts. That's unbelievable. Well, good. We're getting just a heat wave all over the place. Maryland, 79. Yeah, y'all are like killing it. So I'm loving the weather down here. The only thing down here right now is because of all the pollen on all the trees. My red car turns green this time of year because all the pollen drops on it. And it's just, so we're in the car wash like routinely right now. It's nasty, but that's okay. We're not here to talk about weather or pollen. So what we're talking about is how to pollinate your clients, right? I don't know. How are you going to attract clients? How are you going to stand out? How are you going to really make an impact with your message and do things very strategically, very differently than what you're going to hear from most marketers? She's been doing this for years. She's been on stage with Dan Kennedy and worked with him. And I mean, the big marketers that you hear of, Kia knows them. She serves them. They're her clients because they believe in what she does, and what she does works. And that's why we're here today. So, Kia, give us, before we jump into your whole presentation, unless you're telling us in the presentation about you and everything, which we could just jump right in. Do you have that in your presentation? Because I don't want to steal the thunder. Who you are and all that.
I didn't, but I'm happy to share a little bit about my background.
If it's not in there, just share a little bit about, who you are, what you stuff like that. And then we'll just let you run with this thing.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for hosting this and for inviting me. I'm so excited to be here and for making this happen. So my name is Kia Arian. For those of you who don't know me, I am the CEO founder of a design and marketing agency, excuse me, called Zine. And we are just outside of Washington, D.C. in the Tysons area, if you guys know that. And we started off as a sort of a printing design company and became high-end design, reinvented again. This was over the course of almost 20 years now. And now we focus exclusively on direct response marketing, print marketing, and things like shotgun marketing, print newsletter, direct mail, magazines, things like that. I'm a print girl. I love it. That's what I do. So, and like you said, I've sought out and worked with all, the people who love doing print, just like I do. And I'm excited to share the things that I've learned over these few years.
Well, I can't wait to listen to this because I've not seen this presentation, and I'm a big print guy as well, and direct mail, and doing it the right way makes an incredible difference in your marketing and in your client conversion and referrals. And I know you're going to talk about that. So I'm just going to be quiet. I think you've got all the controls that you need to share screen and do all of that. So I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to mute. If you need me, I'm here. And this is going to be a phenomenal time. Take out your pens, get ready to take great notes because Kia is going to lay into it for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And just a disclaimer, as I am fussing with this, I am a print girl, like I just said. And so I know physical, holdable, touchable marketing, and I only know enough about online tech to embarrass myself. And so I'm asking for a little bit of grace in advance if, my slides kind of go all over the place, but hopefully.
Hey, one thing before we start, Kia, I forgot to say this. If you have a question during this, okay, go into chat, put the letter Q for question with a dash, and then type out your question, because I know Kia is going to have some time at the end to answer all of your questions. So don't hold it, but go into chat, put the letter Q dash your question, and then we will get to it at the end. Just wanted to make sure I got that out there.
Yeah. And also I'll add to that, if you have any ahas or ideas that come to you as you're thinking about this, go ahead and put that in the chat, because that's going to help other people. And it's just a nice discussion to have. So awesome. So astound your prospects with shock and awe box marketing. I wanted to tell you about how I got started with shock and awe box marketing. I started it years ago when I met Dan Kennedy, and he's the one that I heard who talked about it to start with. And so I decided I wanted Dan Kennedy as my client. So of course, what did I do is I sent him a shock and awe box. I remember I created this very unique shock and awe box that was just for him. I'd never done one before. And it had all kinds of fancy stuff. It had like chocolate cigars in there. It had my marketing in there. It had my letter to him, other gifts. I even scented it. Like I actually put scent on it, put tissue paper sticker, and I sent it off to him. And he got back to me. Replied, and a short time later, he ended up being my client. So big believer in shock and awe box marketing. I've been doing it ever since. I've had iterations of it, and have gotten it to a point where I feel like the way that we created, the way that I recommend it be done is really is the best way. So that's why I'm here. And I want to show you guys, how we do shock and awe box marketing. Without fail, when we send our box to prospects, it makes a difference. I will go as far as saying it will create miracles. And really that's why I'm so excited about this. All right. So what are we going to talk about? We are going to talk about today what exactly is shock and awe box marketing and what it can do for you, for your business, for your practice, what should go in shock and awe package and who should be sent to, how to create one, what is the X factor that gives it the shock and awe, the biggest mistakes that people make when they're attempting to do shock and awe marketing. And I'm going to show you lots and lots of examples, so you can be ready for that. Okay, so who's doing some form of shock and awe box marketing now? You can put that in the chat and just kind of let me know if it's you love it, you don't, or obviously you're interested in it, but it would be interesting to know kind of who's doing it now, and what your experience is with that. And so okay. I don't know if I can see that. Oh, I can see the chat. Let me just look at that real quick. Well, see, this is where my tech shows. All right. So is this for you? So let's talk about, is this presentation for you? Do you sell a high ticket service or a product? Do you have a long sales cycle? Do you want to position yourself as a premium provider? Are you in a trust-based industry? This would be, you're either like an attorney, financial advisor, you're a coach, consultant, something that requires people to trust you to do business with. Do you want to increase your conversions? Or do you want to build and leverage print marketing strategies? So if you're interested in any of those, you're in the right place. You're going to get some good ideas. If for some reason you don't identify with any of these, you're still going to take away some really valuable strategic ideas, just broader marketing principles that you can apply to your business. Now, when we send our shock and awe packages and we send to someone, the response is always one of awe. They will actually send us pictures of themselves enjoying the package, or they'll create like an unboxing video. Many times they'll tell me they took it around the office to show it to everybody, or they feel like they got a Christmas present or some variation of being blown away. And they emphatically declare, we need to do something like this. And then when the dust settles, they're like, how do we do something like this? So let's talk about what exactly is a shock and awe box. In the Zine world, in our world, a shock and awe box is a package of information that you send to your client or your prospective client. And the purpose is to introduce yourself and your services in a way that immediately gets their attention, in a way that they rave about you and they rave about you to everyone they know. A successful shock and awe will delight your prospect. It will make them feel valued and confident in working with you. It will position you as an authority, and it predisposes them to trust you so that they can easily make the decision to become a client. Basically, it is a golden window of opportunity to gain trust, set expectations, pre-sell them, and leave an indelible mark that will not be forgotten. So that's a lot. That's like what I call a marketing powerhouse. It truly does all those things for you. But let's talk about why send a shock and awe box. Shock and awe box marketing can be very powerful when you do it right. And I'll talk about what done right means. But let's go the top 5 reasons in reverse order why why you should be sending a shock and awe box. Number 5, it positions you. So when we want to get to know someone or something, especially if we don't really know them, we use cues to give us a frame of reference, like if we can trust them. Who is this person? What can I expect? A shock and awe box is that cue. It gives your prospect a frame of reference to compare you to, or to get to get to know you. Number 4, it pre-sells you. So a shock and awe box is a big dose of credibility. And I know, Michael, you love that credibility causes miracles when you are working with prospect, right? It creates instant status, and it gains you the trust as a successful professional who cares about the client experience. Number 3, it sticks around. No one will throw away your box. The perceived value is incredibly high, and both as a gift and as a source of important information. So if you put the right materials in there, people will see it as information that they can go back to. Just as an example, I had sent my shock and awe box to a marketer. He's a high-end marketer in the UK who contacted me. He's got big following. He was the lead marketer for the No BS organization a while back. He wanted help with some printing, so he contacted me. I sent him my shock and awe box. This was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. He contacted me last year because he had my shock and awe box, and he invited me to his mastermind because he has a mastermind of all online marketers, and he needed someone who knew how to do print, who was an expert in direct mail and print. And so he said, your shock and awe box was in my closet this whole time. This is what I want to teach people. Can you come to my mastermind meeting? So I did, and it was amazing. So it sticks around, and even after several years. Number 3 reason, it creates reciprocity. You have gone through the trouble of sending this gift-like box to somebody, and they cannot not respond to you. They feel like they got a gift, and so they feel sort of indebted to you, and they're more likely to tell others about you. So it creates a sense of reciprocity that you did something nice for them, and now they need to do something nice for you. Now, the number 1 reason why you should send a shock and awe box, and I guarantee you it's not going to be what you think, it associates you with happy emotions. And why is this number 1? Because people make decisions based on emotion, and they justify with logic. And more importantly, the emotional association with you will be permanent. It's actually been scientifically proven that people who are happy, when they're happy, they're more productive, they're more optimistic, they're more predisposed to experience success, they think expansively, they take risks. Like, who doesn't want their prospects to be productive, optimistic, taking risks, like think expansively? So when you give them this beautiful gift-like shock and awe box, it puts them in that state. And having your clients in having an emotional association with you truly is priceless, because emotions are energy, and they stimulate and they cause action. And so you want to fill your prospects and your clients with as much positive energy and emotion as possible, because the worst thing that they can feel towards you is indifference, or they're bored with you, or that you're easily forgotten, right? All your marketing is done so that you generate a response. And this is what the shock and awe box does. It gets rid of all those evils of boredom, indifference, and forgetfulness. So positive, emotional, happy emotions is really the number one reason that I think that you should send a shock and awe box. All right, so the next burning question is, who do I send it to? There are two general categories that you would send a shock and awe box. One is your prospective clients. These are people who have contacted you and have requested information or requested an appointment with you, or new clients. Now, who you send it to really just depends on your sales process and how you're qualifying your the people who contact you. And we'll talk a little bit about that, but ideally, you want to send it to the prospective clients who have contacted you or made an appointment. This is where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck, because it's going to boost conversion, it's going to position you, and it's going to pre-sell them all before they even meet with you. Now, it may not be feasible, obviously, to send a box to everyone who contacts you, especially if the box is costing you like $50 or $100 or even a couple $100. And that's when you want to have your like screening and qualifying the prospect. And again, we'll talk about that. So, you know, you just have to look at what kind of leads you're attracting and, you know, at what point that they're contacting you and what the follow-up is. So I think the best way is to just give you some examples of how some of our other clients are doing it. So as a simple example, you know, you have a confirmed sales or consultation appointment. And this is typically, you know, you would send it to those people before you get on that call with them. This is more for the professional services, like if you're an estate planner, if you're a financial advisor, if you're an agency, so consultancy, if you're a coach. These are for sort of the longer sales cycles, right? Another example is you can send it to people who opt in for like your lead magnet, your book, or your resource. Now, here's how that looks like. So, for example, like Ben Glass, he's one of our clients. He's a PI attorney. He's time sensitive, right? So he doesn't have the luxury of time for someone to contact him for them to send the shock and awe box. So what he would do is, if someone requests one of his like multitude of resources, the follow-up, he gives them the download. The follow-up is, hey, if you give us your mailing address, we'll send it to you in the mail. And the thing that he sends in the mail is the shock and awe box. So that's one more step of commitment when they give you their address, which is great. You having the mailing address is good. And it just creates a deeper engagement when you send that box to them. Another example is for if you're welcoming new clients. So you don't want to send it to prospective clients. So as an example, one of our workers' comp attorneys, she turns away a lot of cases and clients because they're not qualified. She doesn't, they're not cases that she can work with. So she's chosen to send a box upon signing new clients. And that's still very effective because it creates a great first impression, and that stays with them when they first come on to work with you. It automatically increases relationship equity. So you're building relationship, you're building trust, credibility. That's what I call relationship equity. Plus, they will rave about you to all their family and friends. So those are all the who's, and they're tied into a little bit to your funnel and the whens. But in general, the when, there's two rules of thumb, or three rules of thumb that you go by for when to send it. One, are you long-term professional services? Is it time sensitive, or is it a special occasion? So keeping those three rules of thumb in mind, that will tell you when to send it. If you're long-term, you want to send it right before you meet with them. There's no urgency. Time sensitive, you're probably going to send it after the call, consultation, or even after they sign with you. And also, if there's special occasions, they can just be a client, a partner, referral source. Michael, I know when you have your clients create their books and they're ready to launch their books, you have a book presentation, you create a beautiful presentation in a box and send it to people who you want to have the book. So those are for like client appreciation, special occasions that you can send it. That actually leads me to big mistake number one that people make when of sending shock and awe. Sending it unsolicited to a prospect. So someone who has not requested a meeting with you or has not made a commitment in some way, who's kind of not sure, don't think that sending them a box is going to tip them over the edge. it's actually going to devalue your box, and it's going to be viewed as kind of the equivalent of spam. So only send it to people who have really taken that step to engage with you and taking that small commitment step. The only exception is that if you're using your shock and awe box as a lead generation tool, which is kind of a whole different strategy that I'm not going to talk about right now. What I'm describing is for conversion and for nurture, not for prospecting. So if you're wondering about that, just set that apart for now, and we can talk about that differently offline. But in general, only send it to people who have made some kind of commitment and they want to talk to you. So big mistake number one. All right, so now we have the general kind of strategy idea behind shock and awe box marketing. What is it? When do you send it? Who do you send it to? Now, I'm going to talk about how to create one, get to a little more detail, and also kind of the cost. But were there any comments or questions, Michael? Any thoughts? Any questions in the chat that we want to talk about right now?
Yeah. So Sean Perkins asks, you were talking about when to send a shock and awe. Does that require 2 shock and awe boxes, one for the prospect and a different one for new clients? Or is it really the same shock and awe, maybe with a different letter? How does that work?
That's a great question. It's the same. It's generally the same, but there's some changes in there. When it's to a new prospect, you're moving them along the sales funnel, and then the next step is going to be that commitment. When it's a new client, you don't need to move them along a sales funnel. You just need to welcome them, make them feel happy. Whatever that next step happens to be, that's going to go in there. And then the idea of educating them, setting up expectations is all the same. So it's the same materials for the most part, like the same box, same folder, same those things, but the message is going to be slightly different.
Okay, awesome. And one more quick one from Janine. If you're just sending to leads who've opted in for your book, which is really lead gen, I think, how much would you spend on the shock and awe? You might get into that as you come into this next section, because that's probably different than what you're going to create for a client or something, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I do talk about the cost and how we kind of think about how much it's going to cost us. But I'll answer it to say that in general, you can expect to spend minimum $20 all the way up to $200 or more on any shock and awe box. And that's going to sort of hinge on what is the, what is the value of that prospect. Now, keep in mind, there are people who will spend, if they break it down, when they try to get new leads and new prospects, they will spend like $200 per lead on that. So it just depends on what that value is to you, but we'll talk about the cost a little bit later too.
Excellent. That's it. You're rocking it. Yep. Keep going.
All right. So let's talk about how do you create one. There are many ways to create a shock and awe box, but I am going to show you the framework that Zine uses. We've done a whole lot of them over the years, and this is the framework that we came up with after like 15 plus years of seeing what works and what doesn't. A shock and awe box, I'll tell you about in case you didn't realize it, it's a big investment, right? So it's a big investment. It's print tends to be a big investment. So being a practical person, I wanted our shock and awe boxes, whoopsie, wrong way. How do you create one? Oh, wait, here's some pictures. Okay, so here's some different ways. There are many ways to create a shock and awe box. These are some ideas, and we'll go back to those. I'll show you some more specifically. Here's Ben Glass's. Here's a version of his shock and awe box. Here's one of our client appreciation boxes. Vance Morris, his shock and awe box. All right, so we want it to be practical. So we want it to be optimized, which is we want it to get the most for the money that you're spending on creating this. So we want to optimize it so you're not just like spending money willy-nilly. I spoke to somebody recently. He spends almost $14,000 on inserts for his folders for a shock and awe box. And I told him there's much better way to do this. You do not need to be spending $14,000 on inserts for your shock and awe box. And so, that's what I mean by optimize. You don't have to spend so much money on the items. We want to make sure that it's leveraged. And that means that you look at what you have, reuse what you have, build on what you have, and then create new assets. The new assets that you're creating, we want to make sure that they're multi-purpose, that you can use them across your marketing efforts in different ways. So being able to repurpose it, you're spreading out the dollars that you invest so you get maximum return for it. And of course, you want to get results from the money that you spend, from the box that you create. And that means that you use best practices in direct response marketing, sales processes, marketing principles, all those strategies, we build them in. So you're actually getting results from your shock and awe box. This actually leads us to big mistake number 2. One of the biggest mistakes that I see that marketers make when they're sending shock and awe packages is the idea that you just throw a whole bunch of marketing stuff and a whole bunch of logo-fied swag in a box and send it off. And somehow that's supposed to shock and awe the recipient. But in reality, it likely goes straight in the trash. Now, this picture that you see, that's me. And it's a box of what I call toys and trinkets, right? A whole bunch of promotional items. He's actually our client, Derek, and we helped him create this. He actually has a strategy. We created a welcome letter for him. We looked at his strategy when he's sending it. This is his business. So he actually sells promotional items. So all the stuff that he's creating in there are stuff that he resells to people who want them. But I thought it was a good example to show you what I'm talking about when people will put together a box of toys and trinkets to send without any real purpose to it. And that's like, I've seen that, and that doesn't really, it gives a moment of happiness, but that's it. It doesn't really do anything else. If you're going to go through the trouble and expense of creating a shock and awe box, it should be within a bigger strategy. What do you want it to do for you? What is the purpose of each item that you put in there? When do you send it? Who do you send it to? Will the recipient know what to do once they open it? And is there a clear next step? Right. So those are things that you should be clear about, and it will give you the most return for your box. All right. So let's get into this. How do you create it? This is the framework that Zine uses, and we recommend items in each category. We divide it up in 3 categories. We have the core contents, we have the delighters, and then we have the packaging. The core contents, these are the essentials. These are the must-haves. So these are your marketing materials. They describe who you are, what you do, what problems you solve, who you solve it for. It's your offer, your call to action, your pricing, contracts, any marketing materials that will move them along the sales process. Okay, that's what a lot of shock and awe boxes they're missing, but that's vital. That's your core contents. Then you have your delighters. These are your should-haves. These are like your branded swag, pens, the promotional gifts. They usually have your logo on it. Now, like I said, that should not be all that your box consists of, but without them, your box won't have shock and awe value. And then there's the packaging. That's where the X factor comes in. And that's what pulls everything together and gives them that shock and awe experience. It's the presentation, the unboxing, the experience. It's what makes it feel like Christmas Day for your prospect. And that's what creates those happy feelings. And so this is a really good framework. You can just walk away with this and be like, okay, what can I include in these categories? And you can create your box for you. But I'm going to show you how Zine implements this framework. And with the recommended items in each category, you don't have to use those specific items. You can just use it as a blueprint or select whatever you want that reflects your style, what you want to accomplish. Do you want to do client conversion, new client welcome, appreciation, so forth. So I'm going to just power through this really quickly, just so you get an idea of what our program looks like for ideas for yourself. Core contents, we do the strategy review. Always ask those questions. What is this? Who am I doing it? What I want it to do, and so forth. Where does it fit in? That's the strategy. Put the welcome letter in there. Put a consumer book or some kind of guide. That's your authority piece. That's what Michael does. He creates that book. You have that in there, tells people what you do. Success stories is a version of testimonials and case stories that we have created. It's one of our signature pieces that is like it's almost like a magazine format. It shows your prospect what success looks like working with you, and it helps them envision it and place themselves in those stories. It's very strategic, very powerful, can be repurposed across different ways to help attract leads and to generate new clients. Add a brochure, flyer, an evergreen newsletter, or a newsletter. If you're doing newsletter marketing, put an issue of your newsletter in there. We create one we call it evergreen. It's timeless. You can use it in many different ways. And we create what's called a bookmark, and I'll show you samples of that. It's a really key piece that directs them to your online resources and other resources. So it's very, very strategic. All right, so let's look at some examples. Here's the welcome letter. So you see, it's, you know, you can see, it tells them why they got it, what to do, and you know, who you are. Here is, this is just an example of consumer guide. Our client at Alexander, he has 5 books. Do not put 5 books in your shock and awe box. He has 5 because they're niched. At most, you would put 2 in there, but 1 is usually enough, but always include some kind of, you know, guide, consumer guide, authority building book in there. Here's an example of our success stories. You know, we have a very specific format for it. It really is the power piece, and and you can reuse it in different ways. Newsletters, just to kind of give you a visual for what newsletters you could put in there. Here's the bookmark. What I love about the bookmark is it creates sort of tactile variability in your box. You don't want your box full of the same size, same looking stuff, right? So like the success stories is a smaller magazine booklet. The bookmark is a small postcard that's heavier. And then it's got QR codes that they can request resources. They can go watch videos. It gives them a little more information. Then you have your folder. So that tactile experience is going to be important to create variety in there. And that's part of the reason why we really love bookmarks. All right, your delighters, those are your luxury gift, swag. We love putting pens in there, metal pens, nice pens, not cheapy pens, notepad, an edible item. The edible item is your force multiplier. Put something that they can put in their mouth. They can eat a candy, a snack, or something. I'm telling you, if you do nothing else, put that food item in there. Here's an example of some delighters for our clients. So here's Vance Morris. He has a notebook. He's got a Disney pen. He's got some candy. He's got a box, a gift box that has a little Disney pin in it with sticker on it. This is a version of our shock and awe. Again, you can see a pen, notepad, magnet, some candy. This was a client appreciation box that had just a whole bunch of like fun, gifty stuff that we put in there. So you know, a lot of different ways to do that. Presentation, that's the other component of a shock and awe box. And again, that's where the X factor is. You want a nice folder. Don't, you know, putting loose papers in there isn't a great idea. The folder helps organize, you know, different things you can put in there. Your presentation box is going to be, you know, a beautiful box that they can open. And then the packaging material where you can use a sticker, you can use like crinkle paper, tissue paper. Those are the X factors. That's what makes it feel like a gift. Also, keep in mind, I see a lot of people, they'll send their box in the mail. So they'll tape it up and put that actual custom design box in the mail. We recommend you put outer packaging, like put a bubble mailer or something in there, because when that box comes to the recipient, it's pretty dinged up. It looks a little dirty. It might be scratched up. It's got stickers on it. That's not how you want to show up. It's better to let that outer packaging get dinged up. They throw that away, and what they have left is that beautiful, pristine looking box. So that presentation piece is going to be really important. Here you've seen this example, you know, the presentation with the tissue paper and the sticker, and then the what's inside of it, the success stories. He uses this organic bag, this nice tote bag as a luxury gift item, the edible item. It's all there, and it really makes that wow presentation. So, and here's another example of a presentation with the tissue paper and the sticker. So what I want everyone to see is how this approach treats the box as a marketing powerhouse. The items can be leveraged over and over again. So like the success stories, your newsletter, the bookmark, the box, the folder, you can use them in different ways. Again, don't send a box of toys and trinkets. That's the biggest mistake I see. It could delight them, but it really does nothing to create credibility or pre-sell you or move them along your client journey. Be intentional and have an answer to the question of, what do I want this to accomplish for you and for your client? And don't just do one because it sounds like a good idea or that everybody is doing it. Make it work so you realize the maximum ROI on your investment. That's going to be key. All right, I'm going to get into costs now, but I'll stop here, Michael. Is there any questions, anything that comes to mind, any thoughts?
Yeah, I don't see any new questions in here. It's funny, Kevin Casey put in here, you know, Dan Kennedy and Russell Brunson have a hell of a shock and awe box experience. It's hard to toss because it feels so special and uncommon. And those are great words, Kevin, because that's really what Tia helps her clients do, is you want to, I talk about people being a coffee bean, Kia, meaning you look like and sound like all your competitors. What Kia is talking about is how to separate yourself. I've seen Vance's in person, his big box. I mean, we were in a mastermind together and we had like, I don't know, 15, 18 people in the room. Every jaw was on the ground going, oh, that's amazing, right? And that's the experience you want to elevate, to position yourself. So it's just really cool how you put all this together very strategically. And I love what you said. Don't just throw junk in a box and mail it. And I really, really, really like put food items in there, right? So that's good.
Yes, for sure. It makes a big, I know there's some people on the call who do them and they do the food and it makes a big difference. So, all right. Thank you for that comments. Yes, it really is a unique item, not hard to do. You don't have to do it perfectly for it to make an impact. All right. So our next burning question, what is the investment? How much does this cost? How much should I spend on it? All right. So it goes without saying that good marketing is always measured in ROI, not expense. Okay. The better question to ask is, how much is a new client worth to me? And that's going to take care of getting caught up in the nickel and diming of, oh my gosh, this is so expensive, it's so expensive. Like we just revamped our entire shock and awe box. And it was a pretty penny, even, for us. And I had to keep reminding myself, how much is the new client worth? Now, this could be the net transaction amount or the lifetime value of the client or both. So for example, if a new client is worth $5,000, wouldn't spending $50 or $100 or even $200 be a mighty sound investment? Yeah. So with shock and awe boxes, if you try to cut corners, it'll show. So if you're looking for like cheap marketing, shock and awe box marketing is not going to be your jam. Now, it's not going to break the bank. I'm not trying to scare you, but it is an investment. But just remember what I said. You can optimize it, so get the most for the money you spend. You can leverage it. You see what you have, build on that. Whatever you create, make it multi-purpose, repurpose it, and make sure that you're getting results. So use the best practices in direct response, sales, marketing principles. All right. So be shrewd, but don't be cheap. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you the cost really quickly for, just to kind of give you an anchor for, what it costs for if Zine was to help you create everything. And so like for core contents, this is like the strategy, help with the development, all the design work, whatever, like, putting it together to make it pretty and beautiful. And, these are sort of the costs that you're looking at. For the delighters, they're all vendor supplied, right? We don't actually supply like swag and promotional items, but we have vendors that we love, that we work with. They're reliable, they have good products, and their pricing is good. So those are vendor supplied. Our clients who go through this program, we make those recommendations and help them curate it. Presentation, the items in the presentation that are customized, a presentation folder, presentation box, and of course your custom seal and sticker that you use. The packaging materials, they're all vendor supplied. You work with the vendors directly. And then the ongoing support, that's like, so the fulfillment is important, right? So you put it together and then you got to get it out. Some people will have someone do the fulfillment for them. We have a great company that we work with, and they've made it super easy and super affordable. Love them they will do the fulfillment for all the shock and awe boxes, or you could do it yourself. Like if you have staff that can put them together, that could be done. The only thing with the fulfillment is that you have to make sure that, like we do a quarterly review, because we want to make sure, one, it's getting results, and two, that it's being done right. So we find that if you're doing it in-house, it tends to degrade over time. So like people will forget to put things in there, or you run out of stuff, or they don't do the tissue paper right. So you got to stay on top of it and also see, are you getting a return? The thing with the also the presentation choreography is going to be really important too, how it's put together and how it like presents. Total everything is around $8,800. As a package, we sell it for just under $7,000. It includes most of the stuff here. The ongoing support again is really important. How, helping, holding your hand, walking along, like how you actually do it, how you present it, how you stack it. And so that's kind of, and it's going to depend on what pieces you have. You don't have to have all the items. Some items you might already have. So that's about the cost that just for reference. Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to give the attendees here a special offer if they wanted our help to do it. Obviously, they're here. They think a Shock and Awe box is something that they can benefit from, and they should be rewarded with a good offer. So for the attendees, I would knock off $2,000 off the package pricing that we have. And so it's just under $5,000. And that's not all. What I also would do is we have what's called a brand discovery call that I love doing, and the people, our clients who do it, they get a lot out of it. Basically, it's a 90-minute call where we drill down into like who you are, what you sell, what problem you solve, who your target market is, look at your offer, brings a lot of clarity and focus to really, what are you here for? What are you doing with your business? So I'm throwing that in there just for anyone who signs up. And yeah, I think it's a really great deal if anybody wants it. If not, no worries. You have, everything you need to kind of get started. But if you would like to move forward and have our help with it, this is how you can contact us. Just go to this website, scan the QR code, and then you'll get instructions from there how to get started working with us. So that's all I got. I powered through it, but
well, you powered through it because it's powerful. Here's one thing that I was sitting here thinking, Kia. We've got one question. I've got a couple questions, but you're looking at a $5,000 investment, folks. This is a one-time investment to get it all structured, all set, all beautiful. Now, you've got ongoing cost of mailing and replenishment, obviously, but those are minute. When you look at the value, so if you've got a client value of, oh, good golly, let's just chop it in half and say $2,500. I mean, good golly. How many of these would you need to send out to get a client? Because you should already be getting prospects and things. When you look at this and you value, how much longer are you going to be in business? If that answer is like more than a year, this is a no-brainer. How many of your competitors have anything like this? Do you hear that, Kia? That's called crickets, right? Because that's the answer is none. They're all showing up online, or they don't even do direct mail. I went to my mailbox the other day, Kia. There were 2 items in it. This is a beautiful, wonderful, marvelous time to do direct mail. And when you do it like Kia does, it's funny. Your box is sitting on her. Kia sent me her Shock and Awe box months ago. It's sitting right here. I can go get it for you with all the stuff. It's still here because it's beautiful. And you're like, I tell people all the time, it's sacrilegious to throw a book away. That's why they stay around. I think it's sacrilegious to throw a Shock and Awe box away when you do it the Zine way. So I just had to get that off my chest. I'm sorry.
Absolutely right. I
want to do a couple things real quick before we get to the question. I'm going to go to that. So you've got on the screen, you've got the domain name or the URL. If you're interested in working with Kia, that's the domain. I'm going to put it in chat so you can just copy it and just link it. Or I think that QR code probably goes there. Would be my guess.
Yeah.
So take your little phone thing and do that techie thing. She's pretty techie for a non-techie girl. Question. Somebody had a question. Sean Perkins. He's like, okay, hang on. My chat just went. There it is. He says, I have a mortgage business and a financial services business. Do I need 2 Shock and Awe boxes for each, or one, or is there a way to merge? What do you do in that kind of a case?
Yeah, great question. So I would not recommend that you do 2. That's where the leveraging comes in. That's where the optimization comes in. We actually had a client who he's a estate planning attorney and financial services. We created one box for him that he was able to use for both. So we merged all the pieces that we could. The only thing that might be a little different would, again, be some of the core contents of here's who we are, what you do, here's, next step. But like all the swag, the delighters, all the same. So no to that. You find a way to optimize that.
Yeah. And I'm going to jump in here because, we do our own little mini Shock and Awe boxes. It's not nearly what Kia does yet. We're working there. But the candy item, here's what I decided to do because, I'm a book publisher, right? My clients, when they create a book, we help them grow revenue. And so I chose, instead of just doing Ghirardelli chocolates, which are really good, I love them, I put 100,000 or 100 grand bars in there. And my note that goes with it is, hey, if you're really interested in earning $100,000 off of with your book, then we need to have a discussion. And so my message ties into my little candy bar, but I hide it in the box so they have to go get. And so it's just really fun. And I do that when I go to conferences. It's just kind of, instead of just chocolate, it's chocolate with a purpose and a message that ties with it. I know Kia can help you do things like that. Okay, we got all kinds of stuff here. Oh, Kurt's putting some stuff in there too. Reports, shock and all, CFM, I'm not sure what that is. $100,000 or paydays. Great. Yeah, I've used paydays as well. If you're looking for a big payday.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I love that tie-in. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. So Kurt, if you go into chat, Kurt just put a link directly to the special offer for webinar attendees. It's got some pictures there. It's got the $49.90 price point. So that's there. So just wanted to get that. And she's got, it's just, wow, y'all are great marketers. Look at that. You can do it all right now. Other questions or thoughts? You've done a great job just kind of explaining, because you want to set yourself apart and look at your marketing budget. Look at what you should be investing in marketing. And are you going to follow the crowd? I love Dan Kennedy. He's always said, just look at what everybody else is doing and go the opposite direction. Everybody's online. That's all they do. And nobody does this. The other thing I love about this, Kia, is this is what Dan Kennedy talks about, marketing in a vacuum. When you do this, your competitors don't know you're doing this. You show up and you go to the top. Do you find that with your clients, that they just ascend in the mind of the prospect?
Yeah, I mean, you've got their attention with no distractions for like probably a solid 10 minutes with your box. Yeah. And then they go tell other people about it. And no, they're not checking email. They're not, maybe they take a picture and doing an unboxing, but yeah, that's the other vacuum part, that you have no distractions on there.
And well, I mean, and we didn't even talk about lead gen or getting into hard to reach prospects. My guess is Dan Kennedy would be considered a hard to reach prospect. Okay. So the mere fact that you got into him and that he became a client is like gold star. If you want to get into a prospect, or maybe a center of influence, or maybe a speaking opportunity, there's probably not a better way than to send them this cold, right?
Exactly. So when you have super targeted prospect that you want to get their attention, and then you can customize it a little bit more for them. And that's exactly right. So for prospecting, lead generation, it is a good strategy. You just have to, we're doing one for one of my clients. He's trying to get on influencers and like podcasts and YouTube channels for his cause. And so we're creating a mini shock and awe, and we're sending it to each of those with a cold. Okay. But it's a smaller version, but it's a package that they get. They're going to open that. And they're going to read it, and they're going to respond.
Absolutely.
So no one else is doing it.
So a couple things here. Janine says, how long do I have to act? I mean, how long is the offer available? That's a great question. I'd say like today. Go do it today. That's my recommendation.
I would do it today. And there's a you don't have to pay the entire thing. There's a payment plan. And yeah, so that's in there.
Go, Janine, go click that link that Kirk put in. I just clicked that link. I went down today's offer, $4,990. It says payment today. It tells you $990 today and then 4 monthly payments, or pay in full, $4,500. You save even more money if you pay it all up front. So there you go. Take action. Yeah, lots of laughs. Yes, or LOL. Yep, did. I can't read LOL. But this is a no-brainer. I mean, it really is, because you can do all this yourself without question. You can put it all, well, you won't do it as good as design, but you'll do it because there are vendors out there. You can do it, but that's not where you make your money. You make your money marketing, being in front of people, serving your prospects, your clients, your referral sources. On items like this, this is not a Facebook ad, people. You can delegate that to somebody in the Philippines. This is custom. This is you. This is personal branding. This is messaging. This is coming from somebody who understands direct mail, sales letters, welcoming people into your world, giving them a delightful experience. Very much, I mean, I love Vance Morris. He's been on here. He always talked about the Disney experience. Why does Disney charge so much more than Six Flags? They're both amusement parks. It's because of the experience that you get from Disney. If you want to give your clients an experience, you need to be working with Kia. And she's making you a killer offer right now. Seriously, you need to go to that page. You need to click that link and you need to get going with her. How long does it take to create one of these things? Like a month or?
Great question. Thank you for asking that. Here's the thing, like, don't do this one if you're struggling to keep the lights on, right? So it's a little bit of investment. It really is. This is the stuff that lights me up, like the brand discovery. I love doing it. So that's why I'm kind of making this special offer. But if you can't stay in it for the long haul, like if you want the immediate gratification, maybe not for you, because it takes like a few weeks to put everything together, get the messaging right, that brand discovery, like it's an investment of your energy as well. So to answer your question, 4 to 6 weeks is the process that we're looking at. And, that's, and then you get a lot of time with me, getting a lot of clarity on your messaging. That's going to be so important. So that's the time frame. And then also, if you hate creating content, like, this may not be your thing.
Right. Well, but what's going to happen is in that process, the brand discovery and putting all these assets together is you're going to get a clear message that you're going to be able to use in all your marketing. And I've seen the bookmark. It's amazing. All of these things you can repurpose. The magazine of testimonials. I mean, how many people have just testimonials like, Dan Kennedy did it years ago. They were like pieces of paper. That's what everybody still does. This thing is amazing. It sets you apart. Again, it's about positioning yourself very uniquely and then giving them calls to action using QR codes and different things to bring them back online to videos or other things so that when you meet with them, you're pre-sold. They are pre-sold. You're the person they want to work with. The value is high. You've already anchored them in the mind, whether you've given your prices or not. This is somebody I want. This is somebody who does quality work, who will treat me well. That's what they're thinking. That's what they're feeling. That's where you want. That's that pre-selling aspect of a great Chalk and All box. Wow. Kia? Thank you. I'm a big fan, obviously. This is super powerful. Other questions? We're about ready to wrap up. Anything else from anybody besides weather? Any other thoughts? Go to that website. Kurt's got it up there, and it's a great offer. And she's giving you.
If they just want to talk to me about like, hey, I'm not really sure. Reach out. We'll get on a call. We'll talk about it and just see. If you want to, talk a little more about it, I'm happy to do that as well. I think it's a great thing to have for marketers. So
yeah. And if they want to reach out to you, is it just your website, designgraphics.com?
They can go to my website or Arian, ARIAN at designgraphics.com. So they can reach out to me directly too.
ARIAN. I'm putting that in chat. Designgraphics.com. There you go. You can just email her and schedule time if you have questions. But thank you, Kia. This is stunning. I love the presentation. I love the examples, and she can help you put all this together. And it's not like you have to have everything. You could start, and she can help you with that and get going. Nicole says thanks for all the information, Kia. It's been a great presentation. You did phenomenal well. You did great.
Thank you, Michael, to you and for everybody who came. And I hope to hear from you and maybe work with some of you. And yeah, this is amazing. So everybody have an amazing weekend with great weather.
Awesome. Thanks, Kia. Everybody take care. God bless.